Good morning, my dear friends across time and space and all of the multiverse. It is I, Sylvia, coming to you from my space station, which is hovering just above beautiful Eastbourne by the sea in the United Kingdom. And I'm going to promise that I'm going to be a good social media person today. I'm going to speak of nothing that is even remotely controversial. I'm going to be very, very, very well behaved, not use any words that Facebook doesn't like, and in general, keep myself confined to happy kittens and other things of that nature. Cool. Just trying to get my chat settings back up here. Good morning, Ilka and Alex. Oh, how wonderful. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm hoping you're having a beautiful Sunday morning where you are. Ilka had her birthday this week. Alex had his birthday a little while ago. So you're both massively wiser than you were last time this time. That's always something to be adored and admired. Awesome. Oh, look at that. We're having a family meeting. Good morning, Martin. How lovely to have you here with us today as well. Yeah, cool. Marianne, hello, my dear. Waves to Germany. To people in Germany, to people in England. That's a nice sort of, yeah, it's perfect. It's a good alliance. It works out really well. You breed those two together, and there's some kind of a more than the sum of its parts. Ah, Ilka says, I'm happy to be here. Oh, Wendy, you found me today. Good morning, Wendy. I'm back, no bans this week. No, I'm going to be ever so good. I'm going to be so good. I am going to, what you call that again? I'm going to exceed all Facebook's expectations for what goodness could possibly be. Clive, good morning. Hello, my dear. Yes. Oh, what we're going to do then, people? What are we going to do? What did I type into the box? Fun and games and happiness or something like that. Well, I've got something that I can show you in the meantime, while we're waiting for some good ideas to manifest themselves in some shape or form. I was gifted by my partner Martin, with a very large energy symbol blank set made from wood. Let me just reach over here. So in essence, he made lots of these, but bigger, much bigger, and gave them to me and said, here you go, massive energy symbol set. And I cut all the edges to precisely a degree so that they all fit together and make a perfect circle. But this one is so big, you can actually stand in it. And I was like, wow, yeah, that's very kind of you. Always love a new energy symbol set. What can I say? Especially a very big one. Cool. This is related to the fact that he got a new chop saw, and it cuts these beautifully. I mean, really beautifully. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just so clean. The cuts are so clean. You can shave with them. Good morning, Nimit. Yeah, so then I set to work and I thought, well, what shall we make? Well, it's all a bit starry at the moment, what with Star Matrix and what have you. And so this is what then became of them. Have a look at those. Aren't they cool, groovy? That's the star symbol. There are these edges. And oh, okay. What I'll do is I'll pull a few symbols and I'll make a little blessing for us who have assembled here this morning. So the first of all, that has got to be, it's always got to be the star. The star that's our soul. That is the sun that shines upon us. That is life itself, living life as a spiritual being in this universe of ours. So put that here. The next one I got, this is the dance symbol, for those who do not know, the dance. And the idea really is that we shouldn't be like crawling through life like on our hands and knees. Sparkle so nicely. They sparkle much better in real life. We're not supposed to be crawling through life on our hands and knees like defeated victims or people who are, learning in the army how to crawl on their hands and knees so that they can crawl underneath barbed wire or such through the mud. It isn't character building. We're not supposed to live life like that. We're supposed to, I don't know, swim through life like the dolphin in the sea, or just move with elegance and grace, going from one thing to another that attracts our attention and that is beautiful to us, that is nice to us. And I'm kind of guessing that I'm getting there towards the topic that I wrote down about being happy. Ah, Ilka says, so very cool. I love it. It is matching so much with my star matrix effect I'm in right now. Yes, it's one of the fun things that Martin always says when I make these things. This one here is the same one I'm wearing to do. That's the symbol for miracle or gift. See if I can get those colors to pop a little bit better on the screen. It's just so good. Well, something that Martin always says is that I put too many sparkles on it. It looked better before he put all the sparkles on there. No, he doesn't say that. You don't have to squawk, but I can tell he's thinking it. I can tell he's thinking it. Too many sparkles. But I'm going for the more sparkles, the better. Sparkles are representing the happiness and the, possibility, the potential, all these things. That's a crystal one. I do love those. And they're so big. You see, when you put them together, they fit together like that into a complete circle. And that is big enough to actually stand in. So I'm looking forward to trying that out. So thank you very much, Martin, for making these wonderful things. Or making me make them, or that we made them together. Good morning, Karen. Hello there. Yeah, so you can never have too many sparkles. This is going on the screen. Yes, that is correct. You cannot possibly have too many sparkles. When you have so many sparkles that everything is just light. Yes, that is really the outcome at the end of the day, isn't it? Completely agree with that. Morning, Carol Ann. Hello. A galactic good morning. Oh, yes, a galactic good morning. Got the alien here. The alien. He's got even more sparkles than most of the others, if you notice. And stars. And big diamonds. Alien energy. We need more alien energy. Gets a bit boring with just people, ideas, and things all the time. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Karen. Yeah, they are quite cool and very inspirational, if you will. If you draw a symbol and you just look at it, you can get quite lost in this. This is the friend. I love it. Really goes with the whole star field, star matrix thing that we're doing. Yeah, okay. So what I was going to say was I had an interesting experience with somebody this week, and it made me think about something that might be useful for you at some point. I mean, what I do is all about making people happier and finding ways how to do that, making them happier without it damaging your mind or your body or your spirit in the process, but actually making, all bits that comprise a human being a bit happier as we're going along. And so talking to somebody, and they were starting to talk, they weren't sure about star memories about childhood. And it occurred to me to ask them, when you were a child, and possibly if you had a very traumatic childhood, in the worst sort of trauma times in your childhood, what was your happy place? What was the place where where you could just let go of it all, whatever was going on, the beatings, the bullying, the abuse, the stress, the pressure, the whatever there was going on in your life as a squirt, as a child. What was your happy place? When you went there or did that, what you were doing, you were feeling like yourself again, starting to feel like yourself. And for me, this happy place was to get away from the work and the hustle and the bustle, and to go upstairs, possibly to my bedroom, shut the door, and get some art supplies out, do some kind of art that I was interested in at the time. And as a very young child, that was already sort of my happy place. And it was an easy way to keep me quiet as well. If you just gave me, when I was little, if you just gave me a piece of paper and a pen or pencil or any kind of implement, I could sit in the corner literally for hours, and I'd be no problem to any of the adults around, and I wouldn't get up to any kinds of all sorts of horrible things that I otherwise might have. So my happy place has always been some form of art. When I was little, that was mostly drawing and painting, and then I got older, I really got into writing, and that is also still to this day my happy place. It's a happy place. I was talking to a man once, his happy place was going fishing. So when he got in the fishing boat with his grandfather, all the problems were left on the shore. And his happy place was just sitting in the boat with his grandfather and just not being stressed and not being, berated, and not having to do all sorts of things like, I don't know, learning maths or whatever was doing that boy's head in at the time. So I'm thinking that if we can, first of all, reflect on that, reflect on the happy place in childhood. Can you give me some examples what your happy place might have been, where your young aspects would have, this thing of stepping on the boat and getting away from it all, or in my case, closing the door and getting the art supplies out, or for me, actually really just getting a piece of paper and a pen. That's a sort of a focusing in on that, and then all the chaos and confusion remains on the outside. So Ilka says trees. Ha! Trees, yes. I can connect with that. I can connect with that tree thing. We used to have this absolutely enormous tree, and I don't even know what kind of tree it was, but it was enormous. And it stood in the corner of the property where it faced the road. And on many occasions, my aspect would just go and literally hug the tree. Well, couldn't really hug the tree. You couldn't. You had it might not have been that enormous, but I was quite a small squirt at the time, and I used to lean up against it and feel it sort of shuddering when the wind would go through it. I used to love that. That's a wonderful, happy place. Wendy's saying, in my kayak on the water. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. The let's have a look at what Marianne says. Sitting at my writing table with my atlas, dreaming myself to a place far away. Ha ha! Yeah, cool. Cool. Like it. As I say, did that help the person who was struggling hearing about yours, my happy place? Um, well, in order for somebody in order to explain to somebody what I mean by a childhood happy place, what I mean by that. Um, I don't know how else to explain that other than to give an example of what my happy place was. I honestly do not know how else to explain that. Um, I can then go on to give another example, which is what I did today about the guy who was going in the boat with his grandfather. And that being out in the middle of that lake was his happy place. So to trigger the memories of people, because I'm pretty sure, I believe that every person, every child finds a way to a happy place, that they find the way to create for themselves some kind of happy place or have that in their lives. And I guess if they don't, they'll just go completely mad, kill themselves, or, die of other weird and wonderful causes, really. I can completely jive with that, Marianne. I got a book one time about dinosaurs when I was a squirt, a great big book, pictures of dinosaurs in them. And I used to sit and enter their worlds and play with them. So I can do that. Who else has got a happy place? A childhood happy place? I would think that modern children would say when they pick up their games computer, or they turn on their games machine, or they enter into a game that they play, that they would say that that is their childhood happy place. That's perfectly, that just sort of came to mind. Now, Ilka said two things when I asked. She said, happy place being a tree, and I can connect with that. And she also said, happy place was my bed. And I 100% jive with that. Of course, of course, of course. Yeah, that's a happy place. Snuggling in, all warm and comfortable. Letting gravity doesn't matter anymore. Gravity is quite gone. And the spirit can take flight into all sorts of wonderful dimensions. Now, I always do. I play a sanctuary meta story as when I go to bed. That's what I do. Absolutely what I do before I go to sleep. There is no in between me going into sanctuary and playing the meta story and going to sleep. That's one piece. And then the next night I ask, so where were we? And I pick it up where it left off, and then we continue on. And it's really quite interesting. Ah, yes. Martin has this happy place experience when he rides a bike. Yes, this sense of that the boy had at the lake, where all your problems just behind you. You're just here and now, and here and now is great, and it's exciting. I like what you're saying there. Riding a bike alone, reveling in each and every new vista as each appears round every corner and over every crest in the road. Ah, yeah, it's cool, that. As a squirt from the age of 10, it would have been in books. Well, lots of people do that to have a happy place in books. It's not a happy place in books, it's not like you get a book out and you sit on it like a dwarf on a mushroom. It's not like that. It's when you're opening the cover of a book, you are opening a portal and you're stepping through into that world, whatever that world may be, and you are living the experiences of the people who are in that book. And yeah, absolutely. That's also, it's like when you say, my happy place is a piece of paper and a pen. That sounds so boring. But it's not, because as you're drawing the thing, it becomes, and the story unfolds. And, once again, it's a similar thing. The piece of paper is the door or the portal, and your pen or pencil, whatever it is, that's the key to unlock that portal to this world where you can be free, where you can have wonderful experiences. think it's a beautiful thing. See what Ilka's saying. I remember going to the playground, swinging or painting or horse riding, searching as well, all kind of contact with animals. Okay, yeah. Going out on adventures, searching for experiences. That's a fun, happy place. Actually, it's really nice talking to you guys about this because with everything that everybody's saying, I'm like, yeah, I remember when I was little getting on my bike and just rushing down the road at high speed into an adventure. And I used to love that too. And then Ilka's saying about in bed, yeah, I do that too. I'm realizing that I have a lot more happy places than I thought I did, actually. That's quite weird. This is very obscure. I used to go into the kitchen and make something. Oh, I got it now. Ah, happy place. I used to go into the kitchen to make something. Right. One thing that springs to mind was a pair of mule slippers that are made from cardboard and red fabric with white polka dots on it. Groovy. Going in the kitchen and making something that isn't food. That's quite a wonderful, wonderful thing, really, isn't it? Going into the kitchen and making something that isn't food. Whew. Now, my aspects used to creep into the kitchen when it wasn't used. This is a commercial kitchen from the guest house at the, well, the public house at the crossroad. It's there. It's a huge commercial kitchen. But I never thought of doing art in there. If I snuck in there, I would try and bake a cake or do something weird and have some weird sort of cooking experiments while everybody else was sleeping. So that was quite fun. But that's also a happy place. Interesting. Carol saying. Okay, went into the kitchen because the only place I had a table in it. That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. Yes. Yeah. Cool. So it turns out that we have actually possibly more happy places. And where this becomes relevant, see, is when we are asking the question is, how can that help us now? These childhood happy places, how can that help us now? That's the first question. And the second question is, how can that help us sort of create the future? What does that mean for the future? Do you still have that happy place? So right now, what we can do is like connect with the beneficial feelings from this childhood happy place, the beneficial feelings from this. And not just the ones when you're really in it and you're really in the zone and it's transcendental experiences that are being had there. Not just those ones, but the excitement as well of knowing that your happy place is coming up, shall I say. So, for example, our friend who was a boy who went fishing with his grandfather, knowing that he was going to go fishing tomorrow with his grandfather and the grandfather would pick him up at 10 o'clock, there was already a build-up of excitement there. There is that already lifts the spirit. And whatever else horrible was going on in the life was probably not so horrible because we had this happy place coming up in the future as a safe place that we can return to. And I think that was a big feature with my tree. The tree was just there. It didn't run around like people do, or cars or other things. And unlike a house, it was alive. So it was alive, but it was also always there. And that's was kind of soothing to my 3-year-old aspect. Oh, good morning, Lorna. Hello. Hi, Sylvia. A bit late joining in. My happy place was my garden shed, which was my place where I could shut the door to the outside world. Yes, that's a big feature of the happy place. I mean, we have wonderful experiences with brothers, sisters, friends, social experiences. But the happy place is just one of those that, everybody needs a happy place. Everybody needs a happy place. Lorna says, my bed. Yes, absolutely. The bed as a physical, going to bed and pulling the blanket over your head as a physical separation, a physical space. But then once we're safe inside this environment, the garden shed, my bedroom, kitchen when nobody's there, once we're safe in that environment, a boy in a fishing boat, nobody can get to them. They're in the middle of the lake. They're safe. That something happens there in a safe space that we then go, oh, and unfold in some way, and unfold in some way, and aren't so quite so tight, locked up, and needing to be defensive, which is just also an interesting thing, isn't it? Good morning, Sylvie. Hello. Nice to have you back. We're talking about happy places in childhood, in young childhood as well. That's as a sort of a good introduction to star memories from childhood. If we can remember our happy places, and my example of that was painting and drawing. And this whole thing came up because somebody triggered a memory of me getting my first rainbow-colored set of felt tip pens. I don't know how long they'd been around, but I'd literally never seen one before. I'd never seen one before, and I was a little squirt. I don't know, 2 perhaps? 2.5, something like that. And somebody gave me this rainbow multicolored pens, and it was just, oh my God. I don't even have, I can't describe, there weren't any words, there wasn't any meta comment on this, but just this sheer joy of connecting through the world with colors and being able to do green trees, and just a wonderful thing, wonderful star experience as a young child. And to this day, I can't see a multi-pack of felt tip pens without kicking into this and getting this high giggle there, this light giggling feeling inside of me of possibility and expansion, and the idea that I could paint the world. Paint the world. Carol says, I still feel like that when confronted with an array of colors. You mean invited, tempted, seduced? I think this experience with the colors as a squirt, that I'm not the only one to have had this, right? Lots of people must have had this. And all the advertising and marketing of box sets of paints with all the colors of the rainbow in them goes to that, speaks to that. It is so, so tempting, because I think it connects directly to this joy of a child who gets its first paint box and just goes, wow. Ooh. Lucas says, my favorite happy place in childhood were kind of sanctuary. I loved it a lot. So did you do stories in your, just living life in a different planet, with a different family, with different things. Like, I just there I could go on for hours. Yes, this is really. I mean, this is to this day is my happiest of happy places. Is stepping into those sanctuary worlds and having adventures there and experiences and uh this is to this day, yeah, this is my happy place. Sanctuary is my happy place. Absolutely. 100%. It is. But I think kind of knowing what our happy place is, how we. This morning I wrote to Star Matrix Forever. I said we might have to rethink our ideas of happiness, what happiness is, how we define that personally. And that could be really valuable because we're seeking happiness. Our happiness matters. We want to be happier in life because that makes us more attractive, successful, productive, happier. Better to have around for other human beings. There's lots of benefits of being happier. So that has got to thinking, personal happiness. What makes you happy? How do you know that? Well, let's just start with those happy places when you were a child. And it doesn't matter if you had this really wonderful childhood of, everybody loving you and dancing around how does that go? Your daddy's rich and your mama's good looking. However you define a happy childhood, we can lay that aside and just ask each individual person, where was your happy place in childhood? And to even just understand that every human child has a happy place, even if they're living in a concentration camp, even if they're living in a refugee camp, even if they're living in a horrible household with heroin addicts and abuse. We are so designed for happiness. And no matter what you do, you can't take it away from children. And I think to sort of remember that and connect with that is really powerful. And to give us some insights as why we still do the things that we do as adults, as elders. I'm an elder now, I think. Am I an elder? Not entirely grey yet. You only get to be an elder when you're entirely grey, and I'm not yet, so damn it. Looking forward to being an elder. Then I can sit here and tell you all what to do, and you can't argue with me because I'm an elder. Yeah. Happiness is toe-curling contentment, which can be found in sanctuaries I'm guessing that means bed. Uh-huh. Yeah, I like the childhood happy places for so many reasons. One are because they are so personal to each person. They are so, there's nothing more personal than that, really. It's just really personal. Really you and me and each person. The other thing is that they're pre-sexual, which is also really interesting. I think they're describing base states of human contentment before all the other confusions come in. Like you ask young adults and they will say, oh, my happy place is lying with my husband, or, that sort of thing. And yes, of course, that is a happy place. It's not the same as a childhood happy place. It's not the same thing. Cool. I'd like you to spend a bit more time taking note of these happy places. and how you are using them when you are using them. And I would also posit that if you think a bit more on it and remember a little bit more about your childhood happy places, it'll give you some clues as what you can do now as an adult or an elder to be happier in a very profound way, in a natural and direct way. Because I don't know how much every one of us, and myself included, has been brainwashed to want certain things that are culturally the thing to be wanting. Whether this is a private island or a yacht or a private plane or a giant warehouse in which you can go nuts and have a scissor lift and all sorts. We need to question this a little bit. And in order to have a benchmark, this is what I'm trying to do here, is to have a benchmark of happiness, to go back to the childhood happy places and really spend some time with those aspects and find out what it is that makes these childhood happy places so powerful, so magical, and what they can teach us right now that we need to learn and understand so that we can build on that and really create whole new levels and experiences of happiness, which would be really nice, and not waste our time running after things that we kind of were taught will make us happy or entrained to believe, or everybody thinks we need to have that to be happy. And then you lie on your deathbed and it turns out that was completely wrong, and you should have thought about the last time you went on a sledge that was made by a maker called Rosebud when you were a little kid and you were happy for the last time. That's funny. I had just no idea the Citizen Kane was going to enter into it. But yeah, that's kind of the message, isn't it, of Citizen Kane, is that all the stuff in the universe counts for nothing compared to real happiness. And what real happiness is, there we might need to go back and learn some new lessons, what that is and how that works, and find new ways of how to get not back there, but to take that what already was and now move forward into even greater and greater and grander and more wonderful experiences, so that this happy place thing unfolds and evolves and becomes this powerful source of strength that they can't take away from you. Lucas said, yes, I always experienced happiness there anytime. It's funny and transformed more than this. Thanks for your sanctuary, yes. Well, sanctuary is a wonderful place because you can try out all sorts of things in sanctuary before you apply them in the heart. You can do things. If you think that, for example, that your happiness will be served by climbing Mount Everest, you can do that in sanctuary first and see how you get on with then not being any oxygen and it being bitterly cold and your body being weak and throwing up all the time and your brain swelling, and how you get on with it. Try it in sanctuary first. Saves a lot of time rather than doing it the hard way first. Who's to say? Lorna says, love this. This chat is really bringing forth cascades of happy childhood places. Yes. And I was really surprised when I heard other people's, examples. I said, yeah, I've done that. I thought I had like one or two childhood happy places. Turns out I've got, dozens more? Dozens of ways of finding amusement in an otherwise depressing childhood. That's so interesting. And goes to look, another thing, when you think about this, is you realize that how clever you were as a child, how intelligent you were, how magical you were, how protective of yourself you were, how much reality creating you did when the adults around you thought they had you 100% under control. How much freedom there was, how many little gaps in the walls of, control, and how many times you slipped through those into another space of happiness, if you will, when you were supposed to be doing something else. And I find that really exciting. I find that really, it makes me proud of my aspects, my little aspects. Those little squirts who figured out all sorts of things for themselves, who found ways to escape and do their own thing and find their own happiness, even under, massive levels of control. I spent some time in a Catholic orphanage thanks to a bizarre German program of sending children away for 3 months at a time at a very young age to some place run by pedophiles, goddammit. And I don't know what they were thinking. I do not know what they were thinking, but the control was insane. And I reacted really badly to it because I hadn't been used to any kind of control. People just let me just get on with it, crawl around, as long as I didn't bother anybody, it was all right. But there I was transplanted into this total control environment from this second you woke up, and in between they used to patrol the bloody bedrooms at night. Wow. But even there, my aspects found multiple ways to escape, to create their own places, to have their moments of happiness. And I look back on that and I'm really filled with admiration for those little squirt aspects. Children are smarter, they're more resilient, they're much, much more magical, much more intelligent than we give them credit for. And I think connecting with your own, inner squirt, with your inner squirt and their happy places, we can learn such a lot about ourselves, about each other, and come to a better appreciation that little squirt that found a way to sneak out and have a few moments of grace, that's still alive in you today. That's still here. That's still in action. It's never given up. And that's a good thing. I'm delighted by it. The magical squirt within. I love it. Oh. Okay, my friends, we're coming up to the 44-minute mark. The magical childhood place within. That's not one place. It is lots and lots and lots of different places, different ways to find happiness. And I think basically we're connecting to that drive that we have inside. I want to be happy. I need to be happy to be the best person I can be. We need to be happy to be the best contributor to society, the best family member, the best friend. A better person needs to be profoundly happy in themselves. That's what I think anyway. Until today, one of my greatest pleasures and happiest thing to do is discover foreign places, cultures, and countries, sitting at my writing table or taking an aeroplane. Well, you're an adventurer, Marianne, an adventurer at heart. Awesome. I think that's wonderful. Yes, and I will put that. Have a sparkling week, everyone. Yes, please do. Have a sparkling week. Don't put up with nonsense. Don't put up with, all sorts of misery for whatever reasons. Just don't put up with it. Activate the magical squirt within, who found ways into happiness, who had a critical approach to the doings of adults, And many of the things that they were doing didn't make sense because they didn't lead to anything interesting or happy, as far as the squirt could tell. It's nice to come and look at the world through those eyes again, to wake up, to not go grey and miserable into the long night, but to activate the magical squirt within, who may be a little naughty, who may be a little irreverent, but who found ways to find happiness no matter how dire the situations and the circumstances. Ah, lots and lots and lots of love to you guys. Thank you for being here with me. Really, really nice to have you here with me live. Lots of love to the people who watch the replay too, but I can't do this without the live feedback because the thoughts are going to be quite different if you're not here with me. So thank you so much, my loves. Oh, and I do have to make an announcement, else I'll get hit with a plank. We have Star Matrix Day on June 1st. I have literally no idea what we're going to do, what that's going to be, but it's going to be on June 1st. So please mark that in your calendar. Star Matrix Day is June the 1st. And I think that'll be wonderful too. So in the meantime, from my magical squirt within to yours, lots and lots of love. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you again next week for Sunday Live with Sylvia. Bye for now. Bye.